morning, everybody. This is Max Farrell from DexFxMarkets.com. Today is the 4th of March, 2020, and it's a heavy news morning. Now, I'm preparing you for a comment that I'm going to make that I'll probably not regret, but I will definitely enjoy being able to help all of you get to that idea of your success. And in doing so, I want to be able to provide transparent and honest services. That's probably my only concept that I know that I want to do every single day. There's no deviation from that at all. And in doing so, I have found that trading the news, when you get to these kind of news levels, right? 3 bulls, you got CADs for the labor, you got all this stuff happening from now until 10 o'clock today, and then even some later on this afternoon, and even this evening. Not so much too much later this evening, but we do have spread out, news today. The news becomes very reactive, right? So if we were to say that news were to come out right here and push the market into a down spiral, what does it normally try to do within a certain period of time? It's always trying to come back to where it was before the news came out, to a degree, right? There's sometimes it will create new levels, and it'll push it a level up, but it won't be able to come back down, but it'll still head in a general direction that it was before, right? Just like this. And with using that concept, we can sort of speculate different levels that it could go to, because what is the price? Just actual levels of anything, right? Now, in most cases, right before the top of a news release, there's always going to be a little bit of reaction, right? Preventive, or yeah, there's going to be a reaction to the news anticipating coming out. So that anticipational move, preemptive moves, are usually an indication of just nothing. Right? Everybody's like, I'm going to buy in because it's going to be a buy, or I'm going to get in because it's going to be a sell. And the market makes those adjustments, right? Everybody has their speculation of which way it's supposed to go. Once it starts to derive to that direction, those that were wrong get out, and those that were right stay in, right? That's the basic way it goes. And when doing so, those levels that Nadex puts out and the market makers' prices and all that kind of stuff, there's so many variables involved. What I like to do is to look at the whole system as opportunity. Somebody asked me the other day, and very seriously, what are you going to do about the coronavirus and the market failing, the market's dropping, the bonds falling out of the... Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of stuff in the world that's happening. The beauty part about dealing with Forex, foreign exchange, is that we can do what we refer to as sells, right? So if the market's going down, we can speculate that and jump on and get into a trade that's heading down. And if it does better, then we could do buys. So we could do it on either way. So that's what the regular Forex market. With trading derivatives, it's like trading a derivative is like going to bet on horse racing and sitting in your house watching it on the TV screen, right? You're not actually at the arena, right? And you're making bets on the side with somebody else who owns a company on the side between two friends, right? So you're like off-track betting kind of mentality. You don't actually affect the odds at the horse track by you and your buddy making a side bet, right? And that's all really Nadex is. And I won't say it's gambling, but in a way, if you're not experienced, it sort of looks like that, right? You have to look at Nadex as a process to be able to speculate markets and levels and price. That's all. You're basically seeing the reactions of news and the human element and robotics and all these other kind of things. So what we're going to do today is that I have never really traded around the news. I have to a degree, but never to consistent success or failure. I was always worried about the news affecting my trade and taking my money, right? Because the news is volatile. Now, there is parts that you can play with it with, and there are things that you can do at certain levels and all this other kind of nonsense. But what we're going to do today is that we're going to trade the news in our demo account, and we're going to trade with a concept of keeping it tight, right? And what I mean by that is looking at the dynamics levels at a tight structure, okay? What this does is that it shows you how reactive the system is and how once the news reacts, and becomes impulsive and does that impulse move, can it come back to those levels that are tight on the dynamic structure? Okay, and that's going to get you that response time in there and get you that feel like, hey, this may be okay. There are going to be trades we're going to lose. There's going to be trades we're going to win. So let's just jump right in. It's 9 o'clock. Okay, we're going to head on to 1 hours first. And we're just going to go straight down the list. We're not even going to, remember, you're going to be trading demo, and in this fact, we don't care about profit margin. We just care about getting into the trade or setting those levels. That's it, okay? All right, Audio USD. First thing we're going to do, see the arrow. We're on the other side. This is pretty good. So what we're going to do is we're going to come, we do have a structure here, and this is a pretty tight structure because it's right at the MA, 66.13, so we're at 66.19 on the USD, on the Audio USD. 7 and 9. Okay, let me hit refresh. This is still stuck on from yesterday. Audio USD. 8 to 10. And what was that number? Talk myself out of the number. 66.19. Quickly. Max. Boom. 66.19. There we go. 3. And place order. There we go. First one on. Audio JPY. Again, back up. We are looking for this. It's almost like they're identical, right? 71.16, 71.16, 71.16. Oh. My mouse skills are a little off today. 71.16. There's 19. There's 14. We're going to go with 19 because it's actually, we talked about doing this tight. So 76. What I don't like to come down into the trade. Okay, so if I have a level here, I have to validate that, and I can't seem to validate 14. That's a little too low for me, right? Maybe not. All right, let's try that. We're going to keep, we said we're going to keep it tight. Are we on 14? Yes. All right, so we missed our mark, so we're going to do 25. Place order. Now you got to, when you're doing these two, that, you know, you're making notes along the way. You can't really do it as you're going too much. So you're going to have to keep a mental note, come back, get a piece of paper, put it on the side, do something to react to the process of. Now, a good level in dynamic structure, is there a top and bottom to it? Yeah, the top peak structure and the valley, right? What I want to do when we get this downward process, we're looking at the top, not so much at the bottom levels unless it has something to the left that it can jump to. I would say more so to the top of the levels, right? Up at this 86.85 area. 86.85, your grip written pound. $86.85, there's 84, that's a possibility. 25. Okay. Now let's jump down and get to your JPY. Doesn't have an arrow. Euro USD has an arrow, but on the buy side. Now, keep in mind, we have a particular strategy when we get these where you only have one bit of information to the left. Where do we go? That's right, down to superstructure. Now, in this particular case, it's news. Would we give it that much burst? No, because we're going to keep stuff tight, right? So 1095, that's where we're anticipating it coming down, bouncing off of this structure. 1095, but it might get blown through at that 10 o'clock hour. So, you know, these are things that you're going to learn by doing it in this fashion. That's 1096. $10.96. There's 94 on the buy. $75. Place order. Okay. Look, we're already in on the Audio USD 66.20 and the Audio JPY 71.14. So we're already bought into those processes at the tight level. We'll get back to those in a second. Grip written pound JPY. Okay, we have a buy with some retracement happening right now. So we would have been all the way up here. Where would we come down to? It could have been right to here, but we would already be out of the money if we try to get into the trade right now. Now that's a possibility, you know, because you get shrinkage, you get bounce off, you get return. It's on a buy pattern, right? And that's something that we've talked about before. Where do we actually go at this point for the shrinkage, right? We could come all the way back up to the, you know, if we were really following structure, we wouldn't use the top, remember, because we're in a buy. We'd use the bottoms at that point. So that would be 137.75. 137.75 on Great Britain pound JPY. 137.75. There's 69, there's 79. We're 79 on this project. 79 is a little high, but I think we could pull it off. 79, 69. Yeah, we definitely could pull it off. It'd be a 1-to-1 right now, and I think that's what we're going to go with. We would already have a 1-to-1 basis here. We're going to throw this as a market order. We're going to chuck 3, and we're going to place the order. Okay, there we go. Now, if you had the money to be able to do these kind of trades like this, this is not about the profit margin, right? This is about creating your mentality to talk yourself through the project of, you know, what levels it is, what's your risk to reward ratio, what's going to be your success process here, right? So again, we're looking at the average. Here's a zone, green red zone, right? Where do we go? In the middle? Yeah, 28.10. 28.10 on the Great Britain pound USD. This is buying in your structures. 28.10. There's 28.12. Again, a little high. We're really pushing these, sort of making these really super tight. The more that you push into the trade, the more risk there is. Okay, keep that in mind. And let's get USD CAD. This is a tough pair. AUD USD and USD CAD, two big heavy commodity pairs that do all this kind of nonsense. Look at this. This is nonsense. Just up and down, up and down, up and down. You know, fart in the wind makes this thing move. Okay, look how much power is happening just on the one pair. It did have major news at 10:30 or at 8:30. Had big, huge interest rate news. Okay, so it is very volatile at this point. It's going to be very reactive. Going to try to stay around these areas. So I give this one a little bit wider berth, right? But there is no arrow, so we don't care. Lots of talking for nothing. On the sell position, go back to remember we're looking for the tops here when we're on the sell, right? Not the bottoms. So on the sell, we're looking for the tops. Where's that best top at? And there's one, there's two, there's there right there. Okay, 95.73, 95.73 on the USD CHF. 95.73 on the USD CHF. 8 to 10, 95.73. There's 75, a little high, but I think we can pull it off. 3 and place order. On board. There we go. Okay. And finally, USD JPY. Nothing. Yay. Okay. So that's the 1 hour trades. Let's go over and have a look at the 2 hour trades. See if we can find any conflict of the process, right? Is there a buy on a 1 hour and a sell on the 2 hour, or, you know, any major conflict in that process? All right, here we are in a sell on the AUD USD, where on the system here, we're definitely also in a sell. So that's good. That's good connection, right? 66.14, 66.20. We're going to look at the 2 hour process here. Oh, no, that's a 10. That's 11. So let's go over and look at the level. This is the level. Remember, on this sell, there is I guess we want to kind of stay right about there. We want to be at the top. 66.24. 66.24. There's 22. There's 26. 22 is a little bit too far in, so what we're going to do, because it's a 1 hour trade, right? We're going to do our 3 there. We're going to do 25 and place order. Again, getting our little thing going on. Now, the USD CHF is getting into an OTM process right now. Let me get through the rest of these. Normally, at this time, we wouldn't have this many trades on unless you got a super huge account, right? We have about $500. Again, I hate when I have my numbers up here. I don't like to have that up there. I like to have my total P&L and positional value, this tells me I have about $600 in trades on. Okay, this is important, right? The reserve rate, yeah, that'll keep you on. If you got a good enough balance, you know what your reserve rates are. You know how much you can have on already, right? If you were trading live and you can only trade 4 contracts or 1 contract at a time, you wouldn't be doing all this. You'd be hunting out for the perfect signal, right? But what you're learning right now is that you're trying to get as much information, as much learning as possible. At this rate, at this time period, do you continue on? And that's a question up for you. You decide whether or not you want to keep moving forward into learning more about the market and how it operates. Just throwing on trades to throw on trades, I already know how to trade. I already know how to look at the levels and what levels are good for me and what levels aren't. So this isn't about me learning more of the processes. In a way, it is with the news and how it operates. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there, and we're going to go back and kind of look at some of these trades that are on. This 95.75 for the USD CAD, or sorry, it wasn't USD CHF. Let's have a look at that again. Go back over to 1 hour USD CHF. And we're going to look at this trade. Where did we come to? We came out pretty tight to the top here because we knew that it was going to be marginally going up. But at this rate, did we get into the right level, seeing where the market is, right? When you do tight on a level like this, one thing that we've overlooked is that these levels are stepping, right? So you should have higher highs. Now this was news related into this point here. This is news reaction, right? So what it's trying to do is get back up to this level to go to this level right here, okay? So it's trying to get up to the tops for here or above it to be able to do that. So are we at the right level? So if I was trading this live, I would really see I'm about $52 in the hole right now on this because I know it's operating. If I were to actually be doing this trade, I'm only $57 into it because I got 3 contracts on, right? My position value is still sitting pretty good because you're 60 times 3, so it's 180. So my position value, I'm only about $60, really $60 in the hole here, but that's about $20 per trade. So I could actually take this off, and yes, I would lose 57 bucks at that point. But if you've made a mistake, if you have looked at the value of the market and done so incorrectly, you could take it off, right? And learn the lesson hard, right? Because you've lost money. But I think I'm not guessing whether or not the market's going to come back down or be there. This is, we do have more news coming. So I have the anticipation that already the news for the USD has been reactive to do a drop. Everything's been in a drop. So as it pulls up, news is about to come out, and it comes out, drops. Okay? So that's where I'm sitting at. But again, that's my speculation here during this heavy news week. Okay? All right. So we're going to leave that there. So it's still sitting pretty tight to be able to come down. If it does come down, I might do a quick buyout and scalp it out at that point. Everything else seems to be holding. I didn't really get a good feel to see anything that I wanted to put on live at this point, anything that didn't have a reaction. I will be trading a process on the NFP, which is going to be pretty cool. I'm going to be using a at the money strategy when I see an opportunity to where I'm going to do a real close to one-to-one trading option. And that's something you can sort of operate in news. If you know, like, there's a powerful news about to happen at 8:30, and on a statement price like this, if that statement comes out and it's super reactive in your favor, that's more of a 50-50 opportunity. You're willing to spend 50 bucks to get $50. Make sense? So in most cases, you can speculate one way or another from at the monies, but you just have to be prepared that you're going to lose 50 bucks. But you have an entire hour for it to either fix or not fix. So that's why, like, when the moment you lay a coin down on the table at a roulette wheel, that money's gone in your mentality, right? So you take the odds of the table, the odds of the process. So that's how I look at it, is that I look at it as like, as soon as I get into a trade, whether it's gambling or not, your informative side says, with roulette it's a little harder, but it does have odds and it has information. If you're playing blackjack or poker, you have more skill involved, and there is skill. There are still odds. The odds are in the favor of the house, of course, just like they are with Nadex. I find that trading Nadex is like playing a very skilled card game, right? Is that you do have information, you do have knowledge, you do have skill. How well you become at it is up to you. Now, unfortunately, I'm at like the card counter kind of level, I feel, but sometimes I feel like I get drug into trades when I shouldn't. And that's what I'm also learning in here, is watching the market react and not getting involved at certain levels that I shouldn't. Hence, the USD CHF that we just talked about. As I get dragged into this, I am looking. That's on the 2 hour. I am now looking at was this the right level to be at, even though that it is a level, right? And we see that level happening here. Okay, this little superstructure level here, not really even superstructure. This big dark green line, you can see that happening right there. Will this resist off and create tension here? That's all we're looking to do. Is this tension going to force it to head back down, or is it going to explode it to head up north? Right? But this is an area of decision. And so what we bet on is that it's going to have a little tension to head down south, so you can pick it up enough, right? Now, because I feel like this isn't one that's going to give me, it's probably going to give me information, but it's not going to let me really feel good about it, And look at them all; they're all doing something now because we're in that news period. We're in that speculational news period. Lastly, before I let you go for the top of the hour, when we'll be back at about 10 minutes to the top of the hour, trading the news is like, it takes all that training and all that speculation that we do to learn the levels, and it just throws it on its ear sometimes, right? So you have to kind of look at it. I told people a long time ago, I spent probably about 2 years trying to find a way to trade the news effectively, because there was more liquidity, more market movement during those news times. And in some cases, those that are addicted to that reality of trading, then they get stuck in that feeling, right? They get stuck in that world of, oh, I got to make it move. Oh, look how much it moved. I was right. The more it moves in your favor, the more you feel like you've done something right. And the more it moves against you, the more you feel you've done something wrong. There's no real wrong process here. The market's going to move no matter if you make a decision or not. It's just the odds on whether you do it in one way or another. You have more of a chance to be wrong during news than you do of any other time. So that's why I tell people, don't trade the news. But if you didn't trade the news this week, you wouldn't have traded Monday. You wouldn't have traded Tuesday. You definitely wouldn't have traded today or tomorrow, and you wouldn't trade Friday. The first week of every month would be blown out, and there'd be 2 or 3 days during the month that you would not trade during specific times. Now, this doesn't mean that you don't trade at any news factor, 1, 2 bulls, but in most cases, anytime that there's bulls, there's news that fits into a half an hour and it looks like a spreadsheet of news, you got all these 1 bulls and 3 bulls and all this kind of stuff, you skip this morning. If you don't want to mess with it, don't mess with it. If you get a ton of news at night, don't mess with it. If you're up after 12 o'clock at night, don't mess with it. Okay? Is there ways to trade it? Yeah, there are. But again, it comes down to choosing your times wisely. Because what is it that what are you hunting for as a trader? You're hunting for consistency. That's it. We went from all green to all red in a millisecond in news, right? And it's all because, and again, you could be sitting here going, oh, this is crazy. Well, I'm minus $72 on a trade that is only 2 micropips over, right? 2 units over the value, and it makes it look like it's catastrophic failure, right? So you can't really read into this. You have to be cool-headed and looking at the process. And yes, you are going to get these failures that happen. This is my point for trading and sharing this with you today. You have to learn those lessons by your participation. You might be addicted to this process. You might find that, hey, I really love this process. I love the idea of going OTM, going back up and putting all my values on everything and taking those trades and taking those deals. Right? we do this thing on the OTM side that we reach back and wait for a pair to go into $75 worth of profit, right, on the board, right? So if we have the Audi JPY, let me see if I can find one. Well, they're all sort of still 137. The Great Britain Pound JPY, I think, went a little nutsy on me. Great Pound JPY. Yeah, there it is. It has dropped down. Is it going to try to increase back up? Well, it dropped down pretty far, broke a level, shrunk back up, and may bounce off this EMA and come back up again at this level if it can pierce this little level that we put it at. Let me show you how we would do that. The 137.79, this might be a little, yeah. So we got about 11 pips. It would have to come back up to be good. So if I go back to the Great Britain Pound JPY, and we go to, it is a 1 hour trade, and we look for this 137.79, there's 79 right there, right? It's sitting at $80 profit, right? Now it's, once that, this would be a solution to get to, because it's sitting on with 3 contracts. This would be a way to get to 3. Okay, so now it's starting to raise back up. So I have to make a decision at this point, right? It's sitting at $65 profit now. What I would do then is just I would do something like this, right? $25 to get to $75 profit, and put the 3 in there. Not 32, 3, and place the order. This would create a working order down where the Great Britain Pound JPY. If it gets a $75 profit margin or $75 profit availability for that trade, then it would buy in, and that would create what we call a 1-to-1 buying relationship, right? And I would then wait for the thing to have a premium that would allow me to address whether or not I could, as it increased or time went on, and with some time decayance, could it actually make money? Absolutely. We had one yesterday in a demo that I'm supporting out to show everybody. But that's the way that we treat these out of the monies when we're in the regular world without a heavy onset of news. But here shortly we're going to get another big huge news pack that's going to release, and we don't know which way that's going to go until it releases the information. That information is always released at the time that it says on here. So at 10 o'clock Eastern, we're going to release all this news, right? 38 minutes at 10 o'clock Eastern, we're going to release this little pack of news. And that's going to, if it's green, it means it's good for the USD, which means it's bad for anything with the USD in the base, right? So that means that if we get good on the USD or the Great Britain Pound JPY, it's not really so much going to affect it directly, except for what we call vacancy news or vacancy trading. So that means that nobody's trading USD. They're going to be trading off pairs like this. All right. I've been talking a lot. I'm going to jump off now. We're going to go back in and look at that and see if that got bought up. No, it didn't get bought up because it's jumping back up now. You can keep that on there, and that's not really going to do any harm. But if it will add. If it starts to go south, then you have to kind of reanalyze, is it going to go too far south or not, to be able to keep that on to do the OTM process. Okay. All right. The other one is 66.22 on the Audi USD, saying it's not too far out. Let's look at that one too. We're going to do one on that one as well, and that's a 1 hour trade. 66.20 with 66.20 on the sell. Again, on this one, we would do 75 in the hold there. Okay. Is that 3 contracts that's done? Yep. Place order. Now, if it does get filled, we would do another process of take profit and to get our $25 profit. Okay. There's also something too, like we got into this particular trade here for the Great Britain Pound JPY, at a really good rate at $46. We were sort of going at the monies with these anyway. So that wouldn't really create a one-to-one because it was already sitting there. So in fact, if I wanted to create that opportunity of one-to-one, I would have to buy them for $64 or $66 profit. Yeah, not 75. So that would be on the buy side. That'd be 40. Let's do it 47. And close. Oh, looks like it bought right in. All right. Oop. Okay. All right. So at this time, if anybody has any questions to the process, we can jump up to the welcome room area. I'm going to jump off here for a little bit, and we're going to go get some things done. And if anybody has any questions or any problems, just reach out to us, and we'll be back about 10 minutes to the top of the hour. All right. I appreciate everybody hanging out with me. If you're in the trading room, great. Thank you very much. We'll see you in a bit. Hello, everybody. This is Max Farrell from Dex Fx. We are back, and the board's looking pretty yummy. I can kind of say, not by design, not by any accident. We do kind of know what we're doing. And yes, do we have a losing trade in there? Absolutely. The Great Britain Pound JPY, the one that we said, well, we really didn't know how well it was going to really go for us, right? Great Britain Pound JPY on the 1 hour, being all the way up here. This was, whatever it was, news related or what have you, now is down to such a deviation that I don't think it can come back at that level, right? We pierced through that level, pierced through this one, we pierced through this one, we got down to this deviation. We're probably going to bounce off and come up from there, but that's about it. But what I did do is, if you remember, right before we did the break, but there was a pair that went on. I had to create another buying pattern, right? So the 6 now, it has 6 on it for 26.25 instead of the other process. Now, we got a loss of about $125 there, right? But we make up for that in the potential, okay? So even in the next 4 minutes, it does raise up. It's like 30 pips down, right? Okay, let's be honest. It's not gonna jump back into that process, but this was already done at that point. Should this one have been done? Actually, it should have been done. You know, we were in the right. If we come all the way back up here, we were into right to come down to the bottoms and do this 79. It was a little tight on that 79. Now, if I had been trading the news comparably, okay, I would have probably came down to the 62 at that point. But even then, we would still be losing the trade, right? And we probably been in for a little bit more risk at that point as well. So we did the right thing. If we were going to risk on that process, we did so rightly by doing it at the higher deviation, closer, tighter, right? Because you do get more of an opportunity. Now, out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 processes in there, we got one that didn't work out for us, and we doubled up on it to try to do better. Now, I have a few mistakes in here too, and maybe you can recognize them. Where are they? The consistency of the contract value of being +1. This one should have been a +6, but instead of +4, because when I did the out of the money run, right, when it went out of the money and did this little thing, I did not put on 3 contracts to match what I have on board. So these are the things that happen to a trader when you get distracted and you got a lot of stuff happening. What do I got going on? Well, let's see. I have recording, streaming, running the trading room. I have 4 other businesses. I have a family. I'm working at home. These things happen. If you see, I got 4 4 windows open up there. We got customer service on. We got a lot of stuff happening. Okay, so let's blame all my distractions on that. If I were to sit down and just trade, yeah, would my live account look like this? Absolutely not. I wouldn't have this many on, but I would have 2 or 3 on that would be at this level and doing very well. But in most cases, you know, I'm getting a good feel for trading during the news for those levels and how they respond. We're going to see how it works again tomorrow with another news pack that's happening tomorrow, which is pretty big, right? There's investing.com. If we head over there and we go to tools, go down to the economic center, and we look for tomorrow, there's another big You know, 8:30 has some news. You know, 10 o'clock news from 12 o'clock news. Audie's in the middle of the day, which is rare. Then JPY at night and Audie at night, right? So I will be trading those times to see if we can get into something good. Okay. But for right now, dissecting this process is really not about the after effect, right? It is what has happened. Which pairs did we get in? Let's look. Let's look at the Audi JPY. Okay. Kind of came back in, came up to that level. Remember, we came back up to the bottom level. And 15 took off and did what we thought, right? Tested a little bit, dropped down, big huge win. Like I said, the news will affect and always try to come back. So you have to figure out, where do you feel like the news could stretch to and then come back to, right? We take the gamble, we take the risk. This is where the gamble comes in, is where you decide if you're going to pull it tight. Is it tight enough for a little bit of expansion and then move on? It just so happened that the news went all in our way, right? We got it to do what we wanted it to do. And this is quite a bit. This is quite a bit. Even with this loss of 125 here, we mitigated our losses by allowing it to have an opportunity of a 1-to-1, right? So now if we, in fact, it's even probably a 2-to-1 right now, because we got them both really out of the money, really hard out of the monies at that point, very low out of the monies. I think it was like $84, $94 on 3 of them. So we only had a risk of like $6, or what is it? 6 times 6 is about $36, right? So here and now, it's the last 30 seconds of the deal. All your P&Ls are going to go crazy. Everybody's like, where's my money? No, it's just that the market makers took all of their contracts away. This is how you know when there's market makers on, you know, and how many traders are really in there trading and offering contracts. This is probably a trader contract, right? And that's it. And these are trader contracts. But everything else, all the market makers took off. They're like, no more. We ain't doing any more business until last 30 seconds. And there's the win, right? Lots of great stuff. 66.15 still won. So just keep that in mind. Even though it was in profit losses minus 145, it still won at that point. Now, this should have been 2 more contracts on that. This should have had 3. This should have had 3. This should have had 3. So the profit value should have been a lot more at that level, but we did pretty well. Now, if I go back out, we're going to go back to available. Now, should I go back through and look at the trade? What do we still got going on? Oh, okay, that's why. We're 66.26. We still got our 1 hour, our 2 hour trade on from before. So here we are in doing that one, 66.12 to 66.26, about 10 pips. Looking pretty good. Let's look at the Auto USD to make sure we validated that one good enough that we're on. Yes, we are on. It looks pretty good. Remember, this one we came back down. Hang on 1 second. Wrong pair. We came up here, 66.26, right? Gave it a little bit of room. It's creating tension right here. Now, here's the thing. If this bounces out and comes, if it's bouncing off of this MA, and if it starts to stay lower here, then we're good, right? If this bar closes lower, this 15-minute bar closes lower, then you want to stay on this side. You want to keep that trade on, right? If it closes higher, you know, below the 6, and it gives you another green bar from here, or a red and then a green, and it closes up in this 66.16 area and creates tension against that, you may want to think about scalping out and getting out. That makes sense? I hope so. Because we're in for 25 for 75. We should be making $75 there. At this point, I would probably even look at getting out at that level just to clean my board. If you had nothing else you wanted to do and you didn't want to sit around and wait for another hour, I would clean my board. You made a killing. I'm going to grab my stuff here. We got some stuff to weed through because we had some boo-boos. We have a lot of trades on from this morning. Look, this is a lot of trades, okay? So this is a lot of stuff for me to siphon through. I'm not going to make you guys sit through all that stuff. I'll do that, and then when I come back for the top of the hour, we'll do this. Now, I guess we could do another quick market read just to have a look. The 1 hour trades. We can't do 2 hours because they're already on board. Let's get down to the Auto USD. No arrow, Auto JPY. No arrow. Euro Great Britain pound. There is an arrow. And again, what are we doing with this? When we have a trend and we have negation to that trend, what do? We come back down to hard structure. 86.43 on the Euro Great Britain pound. 86.43. And that's for 11. There's 86.42 with nothing on it. I mean, it's like, wait a minute, why is that so low? Wait a minute, I think I did something wrong. 86.72. Oh, am I still in a 2 hour? No, I'm on 1 hour. Yeah, 86.43. That's about 30 pips down. We're gonna 42. Yeah, well, that's what I'm gonna stay with. We will put 75 in there, just like that. Right, and pause it out. Boom, just like that. Again, that's a wishful thinking trade. Don't know if that'll really pop in. Your JPY. No arrow. Your USD. We do have an arrow. Look how much that was just a super huge candle. So the major hard structure here. 108, 1085. Again, another wishful thinking, but we had a bunch of wishful thinking ones before too. And what happened to all those? 1085. 1086, way down the bottom of the board. Holy crap. If it does get a little contention there. And this is where I made mistakes before. I was putting in 1 order instead of 3. I do 3 for a particular reason. I'll explain that one day, but not right now. Great Britain Pound JPY. Kind of staying off that loose little cannon for a little bit. We took the loss here. If I take a loss on a pair, I just let it go do what it's got to go do for a little bit, right? Great Britain Pound USD. There is, and we're probably not going to be able to get into this one. We're going to pull back. I'm going to give this one a little bit wider berth, 28.30. I'm not trading skinny at the moment. 28.30, 28, 24, 28, 34. Yeah. 4 pips off. 3, 25. Place order. Okay, let's get down to USD CAD. Whoa, look at that. Remember when I said the USD CAD is a flick in the wind and it's off to the races? Oh my God, look at that. 10 o'clock news. Push that thing way up. It's like, you got an arrow. Nope. And in the first 5 minutes, we just hit the first 5 minutes of the trade. Look how much that's 33.99 to 33.29. 70 pip run against the trade, right? Luckily we're not silly, right? The USD CAD and the AUD USD, these are two commodity pairs that the USD is like really fickle. I'm sorry. It's like my Aunt Linda, right? It's like she's a drama queen. That's all USD CAD is a big giant drama queen. I'm pretty sure you can relate to somebody in your family that overreacts to everything, and that's what the USD CAD does. So we're not even going to look at that one. I'm not even going to put an OTM. I'm not even going to do any of that stuff. In fact, you could put an OTM in, but we don't know if it's going to continue on. If you may want to come up here at 34.16, but if it starts to reach these levels, it's probably really going to be reaching out to try to get back to another level it used to be at, probably up in this area right here, 34.07, in that area, 33.44. Or it could be just simply going to react to try to get back down to where it was. Being that it was in a neutral state prior to getting to that major news, one thing I've learned about the USD CAD, when it sits in this neutral state and it tries to push through, if it looks like it broke through its neutral state down here right before the news, okay? So what it's going to try to do is possibly create a new high structure to continue on at this level, at its low, okay? Right here, you can see that. You can pull back and look at that a little bit. And it's going to try to reach to this level and then pull back, or to this level and pull back. One of those two. But again, why sit and try to calculate something that's so fickle? Like I trade the USD CAD, but I don't like it, right? Even though that it's yummy sometimes and it works for us. If this was a buy, we'd all be cheering, right? but we didn't get into this trade. That's why it's further down the list. I guess it's alphabetical. So for me, it's do I want to play with these levels and work with this pair that I know is fickle that could ruin my day? Audi USD and USD CAD. All the other pairs seem to have a good understanding. The Audi JPY as well can be fickle as well. So we're just going to go down to USD CHF, have a look. We do have a buy or a sell on that. Where do we go? We come back up to these top levels here. We're looking for consistency. We got it here. We got it here, here, here. 95.74. 95.74 on the USD CHF for 11 o'clock. 95.75 right there, $12. We're going to do 3 contracts and we're going to do 25 and place order. Now, I made a few mistakes earlier by not putting the 3 in. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my account. I'm going to go to settings. I'm going to go to preferences. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say limit size 3. Okay. And then hit set preferences. There's a lot of other stuff in there. You can have a look, see what else it does. I always have my stuff on limit order. I'd never put it at market order because it's too easy to double click through and screw yourself. So I'm going to go back here. Now look, the Audi USD that we put on earlier, sitting down at 610, that's about 16 pips off. It's sitting pretty. It's sitting nice. It's doing its thing. It's doing its job. We didn't get into any other trades on board just yet. Do we have any more to look at? Yep, we got USD JPY. Okay, now in this particular case, if I see this impulse move happening over news, and we know that we just had news at 10 and it's reacted, I probably wouldn't be trading these levels and worried about these levels. But what's this pair going to try to do? Pre-news, it was heading downwards, right? We did have some news that were happening in this area. We have these higher levels. We have these buys, these buy or these bull bars happening. I would come back up to a level. If we couldn't have done it tight, because we're gonna look at that for a second. Could we have done this tight? Do we have an opportunity now to buy a couple pairs at lower rate, right? And this is what you also have to look at. If you get to a pair and you have this process and it looks like it has a possibility to reach other levels, we got plenty of room in here for this to come up, bounce off, and then head back down. Do we have some room to buy a couple of opportunities? Let's look at that. USD CHF, USD JPY, we're doing 11 o'clock. And where are we at level-wise? Well, what I would look at is probably where it's sitting at right now. This not 107.39, even where this pair would have came at, where would I have gotten it? I would have got it at this 107, maybe not even there, 107.45. So let's look at that, 107.45. There's 50, there's 46. There, it's, wait, did I do that right? The 107.31. Let's look at 107.31. 107.30. We got an opportunity to buy it for $54, right? Is that a good enough chance? That's a 1-to-1 process, and I'm going to put it on. And here's why. I'm going to put this pair on because we got it for $55, right? I'm going to mark this occasion because I'm going to isolate this process, and we call this an OTM opportunity, right? So in this OTM opportunity, what do I want to create? Not just a speculation, could it win? Because it's only 2 pips off, right? Could it win? Absolutely, it could go all the way. But what I want to create now is that I want to create, since we have 3 contracts in, I want to create a process to where I get out for a minimal chart. You know, if it gets into premium and pushes down premium and I get to a certain level, what do I want my level to be? So I want to always win about $25 per trade, right? You've probably seen me do this before. So what we have to understand is one key phrase. You always sell for more than you buy. Remember that. You always sell for more than you buy when you're doing this. So if I did the sell up front at $55 and I want to make 25, what is a void of 25 off of 55? That's $30, right? So 30.25. So when I do the buy side, I want to be at 30.25. In my case, I want to do about $29. It's going to make it easy. Add a couple of dollars for fees or what have you, but keep this in idea. You don't want to make too much, right? So you're $29, right? If you do the quick math. If you do it on the calculator, you just take the 55, right? You sold it for 55 and you want to make 25. So you're going to minus 25 on there and you're just going to do that and there's your 30, okay? You put in what you want to make from that point. If it's 26 or it's 27, it's 21, whatever, you do it in that fashion and you place order. What this is going to do is it's going to put the working order down below. USD JPY 107.30 for $29. If the market gets the premium and pushes that and makes that happen over the next 47 minutes, it's going to buy this thing out automatically, you see, because it's on for 3 buys or 3 offers, and you have 3 bids in here already, okay? Now, if I lose, how much did I lose? I lose $150 for that opportunity. But again, this is only if you feel you're feeling really good about that level and that market read, okay? If this market read feels good to you and it's going to bounce off and you feel it's going to come into contention, it could go into profit even if it's not in the money, okay? Keep that in mind. You may not reach this 107.30, right? But it could still go into profit or lessen your loss. And at that point, how much of a lesson do you want to learn from that process? So you would simply just click in whatever it has the offer in there and hit place offer at the time of market order. But word of warning, take off your other one first. So if you're going to buy out, if you're going to manually cut out, take this one off first, delete the remainder, and then close this trade out. You got to be quick, right? And you just go here, delete the remainder, okay? And then come in here and just place order. Once you click on it, it's automatically going to do the opposite of the trade. See, it's already doing the opposite of the trade. Place order, and it would buy out immediately, right? Instead of losing 150, you would now only lose 89 at that point, or if it's 29 or what have you. So give this thing a few minutes to kind of play around. I put this on there for a learning experience only. Would I have done that normally? I would really want this trade to be at like $75. If it's OTM, I want it higher, right? I want to be only risking like $25. In some cases, if it's like really super high and it's only like $4 or $5 for risk, you're on a Hail Mary play, right? So you think of it this way. What's the percentage of success when you're buying these, right? Because they're voids of $100, right? So we think of it as 1% per $1, okay? So if I have a risk of $25 or $75, let's say, I have a 75% chance of winning. If I have a risk of $25, I have a 25% chance of winning. If I have a risk of $4, I have a 4% chance of winning. Do you understand? So if you think about every time that you buy a process, what is your percentage of rate of success? Possibility. This particular trade has a 75% chance of winning. I'll take those odds. Why? Because my system is about a 90% chance of winning the solution. So that gives me a buffer point of about 15 points. So I know that when I make these trades with the atomic system, that I have a huge gap lead. You know, most traders only ever have a 3 or 4% gap lead in their strategy, you know, to where they win and what they could possibly win overall. So I feel very lucky because 15% is very, very high. And sometimes it's even 20% in most cases, depending on the pair. All right. I'm not going to bore you anymore. We'll be back in about 10 minutes, top of the hour. We did that pretty good. When I come back, I'll have my tally too for the day so far. Because that other mess, there were so many trades in there, it wasn't even funny. So I got to make sure I got it all on board. And I don't want to sit and bore you with that stuff. All right. If you have any questions, I'm going to be in the in the room here just for a few minutes, into the welcome room. If you have any questions, have any problems, if you've seen anything you want to emulate or talk through, I'll be in there. Make sure that you got your mics unmuted when you come in. You just hit the little unmuted bar. You can't do it in here because it's a live room and it's my room. I don't let you talk. But in the other rooms you can. I'll see you in the other room. I'm Max. This is Dex. We'll see you in about 40 minutes. Okay, we're back in just a little bit earlier on the recording. I haven't gone back in the trading room yet because I wanted to document the process that it did just fall down below that 29. And we're watching now it create a time decayance plus premium side, right? See, it's still gyrating around that area. If we look back at the market, it's kind of playing off of this area. Now, if it can close down right around in here on this next bar, on the next minute, if it can close below this level, we might have something that, see, it's just closed. So what we're trying to do is get this following bar to come down and be down around in this area, okay? Because we want this to be, I don't know if you can see it. Okay, it's just closing out now. There it is. Now, it can bounce off this area and come back up again. And if it does that, we'll be out of the money again. But again, we're down to this level. If I find that this bar is kind of reaching back up in this area again, we may pull off, and it's still in plus 15, only because it's playing around in that area. There's $32, there's $35. Remember, we're only going to be getting about $60 off of this process. Actually, a little bit more than that. 29 times 3, so 25, about $75, $70 in that area. So, could you theoretically just buy out now? Yeah, absolutely. Save yourself the loss, save yourself that process. You made 21, 20, $23, whatever. You got 3 contracts, so about $6 worth of fees coming off. So, but we're going to sit and watch this thing, see if it's going to push. Come on. You could do it. Come on. You can do it. See, now it's going to play around that 30 mark again. Because we're sitting at that little dynamic level, this little green line that's right here, which was sort of created from all these other things that are happening over here, we want this to keep falling down and be around in here. We want this next step to be dropped, right? But this is why we put this on. We put this on because this is our backup plan, right? Even though that it's still sitting right now. We got about 4 more bars left total to be able to take that out in the 5 minutes on that chart. But see, here we are again. It's bouncing off. We did drop down just below, but it's respecting this level pretty strong, right? Knocks off that little valley right there at this level. You see how strong this is? But if everything is moving to where it's supposed to be moving, look, lower, a little bit lower than here, it's going to try to make a little hilt here and hopefully have 1-2 bars that are going to come down and be dropping down just below it. Okay, there's no more news releasing at this juncture right now. Let's see, there's nothing else releasing till 1300, so 1 o'clock, right? So we might be okay. I just remember we just had a couple of newses at this 10:30. This is what pushed this market back down. It could be coming at reaction to come back up again as we're kind of battling here, right? So again, there we are down below. It's 21 again, sitting at 29.7, 29.6. We'll see if this bites into that process. All right, so I'm going to pause. We'll come back towards the end, or if I see that it gets bought, it might get bought. You might miss that action. That's what it is, and I'll promise you I'll be transparent and show you the results. Here, we're back, and it is falling below, just a little bit below the 107.30. I came back in and did a little pre-recording here, or a little recording here, to show it actually starting to get down and get to what we call dynamic structure, and also come back to premium, that it was it was actually in profit when it was still out of the money. So, that's something to be said. Let's take a look at that USD JPY and look what's happening. As we can kind of see, this is exactly how we wanted it to unfold. We knew that if it did come up to make this new high here, and this little shoulder high, that it should be lower than here. If it did come up around here, we knew we probably weren't going to win the trade. And now we're just fighting the last 2 bars here. We got 2 more. We got this bar and 1 more bar on the 1055 bar that we really want this to be dynamic. So we want it to do what it's going to do. Now, it's probably going to push to pick up our little limit here at 46, or we wanted to get that to $70. If it can, we can get some little time decayance happening on this pair. It'll actually take that off. Now, I am being a little bit weird at the moment, I guess. I always look at these as an opportunity that these structures are set, in the world, of course, but Nadex knows them really well, right? And it knows that it's going to be at a point. So this thing could fall down and take that price. But what I'm going to do now is, because I want to be able to put this type of mentality out there, like these OTM trades, it has a different feel than the actual trades themselves of just having in the monies, right? So we take what we take at this point, right? We can wait for it to get to the 75 and win that money. We are in a learning pattern at the moment. So would I use this particular pair on? Yes. If I do it right, I'm going to do this just like this. I'm going to come here to market order. There it is. I didn't even do it. It picked it up. So we just won $75 on that particular trade. It got picked up right away. You can see it's sitting down at 27. So I didn't even have to do anything. It got to that point. Now, could we have won $150 instead of 75? The answer is yes. If we want to take that rest of that gamble. Now, I'm not saying that in the next 6 minutes it's going to raise over 30. It could, right? But the law of averages for me is to make the shift into me controlling the outcome and get to levels that I want to get it to, right? Acceptable levels, right? If my base pace or base price that I want to get is $25 per contract, and I scalp this out, am I getting $25 per contract? The answer is no. If my base price is $20 per contract and I scrape this out now, am I still getting that? No, because it would have to be to $60 profit and not 48, right? So when you make the terms your terms, it's okay to scalp. You see what I'm saying? I made the terms $25 per contract. I want to be able to get at least. So if I get trades better than 25, and let's say I buy this one for $39 right now, this 34, right? See, look at this now. It's up above 33. 107.33 right now. This has a high potential to lose at this level. Okay? I mean, it could come back down. Don't get me wrong. It could still come back down and do whatever it's going to do. But if it loses and we still win, we've won money, that tells you something about our progression on trading. How do we work the market well enough to take the averages the averages and the percentages and work them to our advantage? That's all we're trying to do. And at times take the money that we need to take. That doesn't mean come in and just scalp. That means coming in and setting your levels, using the OTM, using the working orders, the take profit working orders, knowing how to use those properly. And knowing sometimes that way the market unfolds. You see, this level right here is a pretty strong level. Why? Because as it pierced through, came back in, touched it. Pierced through again, reflected it, right? Pushed it off. Okay, it pushed it off of that level, came back on, came in, and then tested it again. You can barely see it. It's right there. It was retested. Came back down again. This time it bounced and resisted, came back through but closed, and is bouncing again. Now, the only thing for this to do is to exhaust that value and drop all the way down, which is a possibility. But as it's doing that, it's still vibrating above the level, which is creating this 32 right now. When you recognize that, that's why I was like, if this doesn't do something in the next minute, I'm buying out of it and take a smaller loss or a smaller profit. But we set our margins properly. We used the USD JPY take profit process and took it, right? Now, this one here particularly, the 66.26, I could take out because it's 4 pips away from the process, but I feel strongly about this. Why? Because if we come up to the AUD USD, we say goodbye to the USD JPY. We've won that trade. We've won that world. This was on a 2 hour. Okay. This is back here. This is where we were at. Okay. Now we are getting a bounce off. Remember, we knew that it was going to create tension here, right? Because we have this level, we have a buying, we have a bull market happening. It's creating tension as it slowly gets closer to this process, right? We call this a pennant kind of mentality, right? Pennant. Okay. And we know that once it gets to here, it creates tension. It wants to bounce back up really, really close, like a ball falling down in a cone. That's what you have to look at it as, right? We're pushing this animal into a corner. And so it's got to do something, and it's going to do it at bigger than the level that you're there, right? It's going to try to push through this level. It's going to test this level. Now, it's either going to come up and test and pushed off, and then it'll start to really come down far and reverse this trend, but I doubt it. Okay, I think it's going to do exactly what it kind of did here. It's going to push up, come back down and vibrate for a minute, and then push back up again. If we look at the market, we've been traveling pretty high for a long time. Okay, this is how you learn how to read the market, by coming in, trading, noticing these levels when they do reach to those. But we also have news happening, right? So let's go back in and see what's happening on the pair. We got 66.23 now. We're at $53. We got about a minute left. I think we're going to be okay. I would really love to think so. This would kind of wipe out some profit that we just made. But if this does lose, we just made $75. You know, here we would lose 225 in that process if we did lose. But again, down to the last minute. I have traded thousands of trades, of course. I always get the same feeling on every single trade, whether it's a demo or a live. This is the stupid part. I get like these little goose pimples all over my arms when I'm even watching money unfold, because every time that I see one of these trades and every time I look at these levels and dissect the level and I look and see what happens, I learn something. And this is what you have to do. If you're here to, Max, just point me to where the money in the bucket is, I can't help you. You know, you have to make these things happen for yourself. These learning experiences, you can only watch me so much, right? You can only watch me do this so many times. What are you going to have to do? You're going to have to go do it yourself, right? Look at this USD JPY. Still, it still has a potential to lose over the 30. I kept it up here for a reason. We definitely won this auto USD, unless we have a giant explosion in the world right now. 107.30, it's sitting right at 30. Look at that, 107.30, sitting right at 30, last 30 seconds. Now, here's the thing. If it finishes at 30, we win, right? It's sitting at 29, 26. If it finishes below 30, that pair would have won. But we really don't care about that. We don't woulda, shoulda, coulda after the trade's been done, right? We look at, did we make a mistake? Look at that, 26, big giant drop. This is exactly what we thought was going to happen on that pair, okay? Go to the 1 hour, sorry. There we go. Isn't it awesome when you know how things are going to operate? The human element makes it operate in that way. And of course, then you get like the USD CAD that acts as like the drama queen. Look at this. Boom. Way super huge pull up. You know, there's no way it would have gotten close to that 33.74. This is why we didn't even play it. With this kind of bar, reaction is too much from that side, right? All right. Looks like we won those trades. I'm not going to go look at another trade. There's so much news. There's so many learning in the process. I know where it's at. I'm going to go let the market do what it's going to do for a little while. I'm going to trade a little bit tonight. I might be able to get in there and trade live. This week is a learning week for us. Next month in April, again, I'm going to look for the setups that I've seen in this major market process. I'm going to learn a lot of stuff on the NFP. Trading tomorrow, Thursday, there's a lot of news as well. Not as much as you would think, but there is going to be that big, huge news pack on Friday morning at 8:30. And I'm going to come in and trade it with the demo, with the process. I might put a live trade on as well at the money process like we did today, right? Knowing that the market's going to move, I'm going to grab a level that's going to give me an OTM and a possible return. And I'm going to put a couple contracts on it. I may lose $50. I may win $50. But if I get a good opportunity, I'm going to take it. But see, here's the thing. I'm going to make it so that I'm going to grab a level that might be OTM, but that it could expand back to, that I could retract to. And if so, I'm going to be buying those contracts for like $10 or $15. And I'm going to see if I can have a pullback from that process to win, right? So it's a good solution, okay? I'm not sure if anybody's, where am I getting that at? Okay, no, that's something else. All right. So if you have any questions, if you have any statements, I'm going to be up in the welcome room for a little bit. If you want to pop up there and say hello, I'd appreciate it. If not, then we'll see you a little later tonight. I'll be back in at about 10 minutes to 7 Eastern time. I might be doing some gameplay as well, but I have some meetings today at 12, and I have some meetings at 1 o'clock today that I definitely have to meet with people. This is my world of trading. You know, I can't sit and trade every single hour of the day, but when I can, I do it in a live pattern like this so you can see it. I hope you guys enjoy this. Do me a excuse me, hang on 1 second. Coughing my brains out. Do me a favor. If you like what you see, spread the news. Okay, spread the news that this is working, that we have a process. Be the voice of us. I have a lot of time to actually do marketing and advertising for the company, but it's always good to get referrals. It's always good to get a process. Make sure also you leave a good review on Facebook. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And it's just spread the news. Tell people about what we're doing, that we're honest, that we're upfront, that we're transparent, and that we're here for you to make this work. If you're brand new and you're watching this after the fact, if you haven't bought into the network, get over there. We have the Atomic system. It's for 7 days free, absolutely free, or you can buy for the whole month for $57 and come in and practice. I can guarantee you I can train you on how to do exactly what I'm doing in less than 7 days. In less than 7 days, you're going to be learning exactly what I'm doing right here in trading demo, learning how to trade that process, but also in live, okay? Because we do have a process in this. So actually, and let me do one last thing here. I'm going to jump back into the account and I'm going to grab those things. I'm going to do some housekeeping. I promise you I would do that. I did a little bit from earlier, and you'll be quite surprised. There was a lot of trades that went on this morning within that solution. Auto USD. Let's see if the USD is down here as well. For 11, there's 10, there's 11. There's the first one. That's the USD that we did for 11. Okay, pop back in here. There's that, and now we got to go back over and pull into the next frame, which is here, because we bought the other USDs in there. Because remember, this wasn't we bought for a regular level and then we sold for that level. This was we bought at an OTM right off the bat. 3 contracts in OTM, or basically more like ATM, like at the monies. So this was a new way of doing. Let me just pop that in here. Is that, sorry for the trash truck. This sound is going to be behind me in a second. Now you see what it did. It didn't go to expiry. It took that finish out of that buyout at buy to close, and we did so for 213. So that's not too bad. And how much? Big drum roll, please. That's $73 or something like that. 72.75, not too bad. And this particular trade here was a 2-hour trade from before. Let me see if I can find it. There it is. Boom. Put it right there, and we're gonna put some rows in between, so a little bit justified. We're gonna copy that, put that right there, and that was another. There's a $69 win. Okay. This one's actually supposed to be $69 too. All these $23 ones were supposed to be $69 this morning, but I did not put the contracts down. Let's find out what our tally is for the day so far. I'm going to drop this down here. We're going to resort it down to 131. 31. Boom. $226. We had one major loss that we did on the Great Britain Pound JPY, but we did that really carelessly too. I'll say that we really pushed that level. Even if we did lose it, it was sort of a risk, but could it have happened? Yeah, it still could have happened, but it didn't. It didn't go for our favor. So we did a little bit higher risk, did it close, and we lost, right? But how many other ones did we put to the risk and we won? And this morning, this is a true out-of-the-box OTM. This wasn't an OTM recovery. This was an OTM out-of-the-box. And $226, average 3 contracts apiece. God, this would have been more. Another 60 there. Probably another $40, probably about $270 one if I would have made those contracts right. We had 2 OTMs too. I also effed up the one OTM recovery. This one right here. This should have been this should have been a $300 win this morning. But instead we got 146 because I forgot the other 2 contracts on there within that process. Pain in the butt, I am. But that's the way it goes. So this would have been like a $500 day. Now, could we have traded this with a standard account with $2,500 in it? And the answer is no. You wouldn't have been able to. You wouldn't have been able to handle the reserved mark there. So I want you to keep that in mind. You're learning how to trade the level. So once you find one that's good and you find it and it works for you and you can see that process. If you look at the market and you go, I've never seen this before. Should I trade live? The answer is no. If you ever question the level that you're at, did I ever see this level? Did I ever see this setup before like this? Should I trade this live? And the answer is no. You should never question whether or not you should in your live. It should always be a no-brainer. Even for me, with as much experience as I haven't seen some of the setups we had this morning. Not with the ATM, well, not with the Dex Atomic. I've seen things like this before. I've seen the type of setups, but I don't know how they're going to react at the tight levels that I did them this morning. Now, guess what? at the tight levels that we did this morning, we still could have got into live trades with that process. And we could have won. So I hope this finds you well. I hope you got some good information today. My biggest advice to all of you that are in the room, I appreciate you being here, but take some time, do these yourself. Get in there and look at those levels. Yeah, you can see that, levels validate who you are and what you're doing and all that kind of good stuff. And I appreciate you being here, but I don't want you here for too long. New people, come in, have a look around, get the feel, watch the training, do the trading, watch me do it as well. But then get out there and get your butt doing it yourself. Start learning, learn the levels, all right? Practice. I don't have all the answers for you. Where you got to get some of the answers now is in your workload and you doing it yourself, okay? I will be back tonight, about 10 minutes to 7 Eastern, okay? So I look forward to seeing you then. And hopefully you had a great day. I'm Max Farrell. This is DexFxMarkets.com in the Dex Atomics trading room. And as always, trade well.